So the fire burning red in a Georgia representing for Kams Tv. Big up Kidaki, Buxton massive. Hey Babylon boy, you going like Kams son. Red. Kams Tv son. You burn this swine when no want you shine. The tree of life, them no want you climb, cause them heart no kind. Kams I say them heart no kind. Buxton massive. Kidaki. Red that.
Never joke, never joke, never joke. Oh, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you can even money, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. You can keep, you can even money. When you've been knocked for a bum, in a bill tell me money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, in a bill tell me money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guild of piece. A 2 pound note and a guild of piece. A 2 pound note and a guild of piece. This is all the money that me walk for. I said money, neighbor. Money, neighbor, money. Money, neighbor, money. Money, now I know what you can have in money. Oh, Joseph.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in to Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Kadaki Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. We rise up early morning watching Kams TV, where wisdom and knowledge, yes, it is the key. Exposing corruptions over land and sea, where the wicked politicians they try to trick me. Guyana is a land for everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. Is one set of people getting aisle money. Is one set of people doing the thievery. Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. This is a program that you all can see, sharing your views and your integrity. Like it, comment and share it all around. Pass it to your neighbor, safe and sound. A sad situation going on in this town. The voice of the people is getting trampled down. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, with Jah as ordained me to sing. I sing Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, fooling the people. You promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. Stop fooling people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. Politicians. You are a part of the cycle. I say, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. They got Breakford, Bork and Mark Benchcop. David Hines and Kadaki Amsterdam. Sherrod Duncan, Nigel London. Normal Brown and Gavin Matthews. Big up Paslow Port People Governor. Simona Brooms, Robin Simpson. Hampton Green and Winston Jordan. And yes, we can go right on and on. Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again.
The relatives and friends of young Wyndham Bacchus, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of our in Boston, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of Peter Headley, they deserve justice.
And so when we say that Guyana is an apartheid state, we have the evidence to show.
The African Culture and Development Association, APRTHEID, invites you all to its annual Kwanzaa Karamu on December 26th at the Akwaba Center at 9 Thomas Lands opposite the National Park. Come see the lighting of the Kwanzaa candles and share in the Kwanzaa feast. Karamu begins at 11 a.m. Admission free. Have a happy Kwanzaa. Looking for a unique gift idea for the holidays? Then come down to Makeda's at 146 Albert Street. We have gift ideas for everyone, from festive African fabric, accessories, African-inspired outfits, unique African-inspired toys, books, African house decor, and so much more. Make this holiday special with a gift from Makeda's, where you can celebrate the African way.
You put in a 12-cent meatball, you washed on a lice. I going to give you a word of advice. Take your meat out my rice.
You can get meat anywhere, but for the best cuts of chicken, beef, pork, mutton, and lots more, check out T&W Harris Butcher Shop, located in the East Remvelt Market Meat section. Call us on 609-2049. Ask for Rastaman. T&W Harris Butcher Shop brings you the best in fresh cut meats and lots more.
Are you planning your next visit to Oil Ridge, Guyana, South America? Well, let's accommodate you at Varon's Cheerful Country Manor. With free secured on-premises parking, our beautiful vacation air-conditioned home offers 3 beds, 2 bathrooms, a spacious kitchen, and all modern amenities. Located at Tushen, on the eastern bank of the mighty Essequibo and the western coast of Demerara, Varon's Cheerful Country Manor is just a stone throw from the ocean. Make that reservation now on Airbnb and VRBO. For contact, call us on 516-770-3053 or 592-685-3521. Make Varon's Cheerful Country Manor your home away from home.
A message from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in association with the Ministry of Education.
Right there with them. And suddenly he calling this thing a dispute. The court's referring to the thing as a dispute.
That's some very interesting colors. I must say that I'll be joining you.
But with chicken scrap, gone were the days when you used to see granny by day that made your life different today.
In town.
Thank you.
Today is a beautiful day.
The ruling is going to be made virtually. Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, are you morning? Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. It's 18 minutes to 8 o'clock. Sometimes you don't be late, you be deliberate. Welcome to the program. I'm your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. How have you been? How was your yesterday? What did you do last night? What did you do during the day yesterday that made your life different today? Or what did you do yesterday and even last night that you know for a fact will have a direct impact on the future? You and your next generation. What did you do? Are you satisfied with the outcomes of what you did yesterday? Y'all start plucking them chicken for Christmas meat? Have you started slaughtering your animals for Christmas? Assuming you got animals to slaughter. Gone were the days when you used to see granny buy 6 broiler chicks, only 6 broiler chicks. And she put them in a little coop downstairs and she feeding them. Not only with this fancy commercial grade feed, but with chicken scrap, with kitchen scraps also. And then by the time it come to Christmas, close to Christmas, granny got 6 fat fowl in she coop that she ready to pluck and refrigerate, or even to send 2 by neighbor Jane and Auntie Roxy and keep 4 for herself or 3 for herself, whatever. And what the days when you're seeing these things happening in our communities, everybody going and buy. Like everybody is a set of buy runs. Buy this, buy that, buy the other, buy the next. What happened to self-sufficiency, man? You know, it's one of the reasons I say modern woman ain't got nothing on the older folks. Them old people used to stay home. The husband gone to work and they're home. And a lot of us used to think that they just there. For quite a while we had them registered in our minds and in our records as unemployed. Not working any place. No value to their labor. But then that campaign started for women work. And I remember one of the slogans was women work must count. Red Thread ladies, y'all good morning. Women work must count. That campaign eventually resulted in women's work getting recognized around the world and a value being placed in it. A value that is equivalent to or higher than men's work. Because women work 24/7 in the home. Men work 8 to 5 or 9 to 5. Right? So we got to think about these things. We have to go back. Sometimes it's good to go back if you want to go forward. Let us start building coops in our yards and mind 2 fowl. And it doesn't necessarily have to be broiler chicks, because here I tell you, a yardie is a good cook. Yard fowl is a good cook, right? This is pepper pot season. Some of the main ingredients of pepper pot is broad leaf thyme, fine leaf thyme, married man pork. I went to the market the other day and I 3 short stems of married man pork for 160. And I watched the vendor and asked if she had good. Married man pork. I stuck 1 stick or 1 stem of married man pork in my backyard, and next thing I know, a whole section of the yard is here. Not married man pork that was broadleaf thyme. Right? Very good plant. They got another name for it, I can't remember right now. But it's used for all kinds of things. It's good for respiratory health, among other things. Right? Now you want a married man pork, piece of married man pork, don't go to the market. It's difficult to find these things in our backyards and in our communities, quite frankly. But it's one of, these are main ingredients in our pepper pot that we look forward to cooking for Christmas. But wait man, we get all year for plant this thing, for prepare for this pepper pot. We can't find 2 plant pot and plant 2 married man pork and a fine leaf thyme and a broad leaf thyme. Bonham used to encourage us. Plant food. You can't eat decorative plants. Right? I mean, that was in Bonham time. You didn't know the science that was going to find that a lot of these decorative plants got medicinal value. But the argument is still made. Plant food. Everybody yard concrete to the hilt. My yard is paved from end to end. You can't find a grain of sand, a piece of dirty to plant nothing on. Concrete your yard from end to end, and then you go and buy plant pots. I put plants inside. Concrete plant pots, concrete from concrete. Right? We have to revisit. Sometimes it's good to take a couple steps backward and look to see how you really should be going forward. Let's stop creating concrete jungles and leave space so we can cultivate a few things. If you get a good baygon plant in your yard, it would feed the whole family comfortably. You know what's baygon? Eggplant, balanger, same baygon, right? If you got a good baygon plant in your yard, you eat comfortably. A good okra too, 2 or 3 okra plants, and you eat comfortably. Boro is a man that produces every other day. You could reap boro once it starts bearing. I tell you from experience. Callaloo, it's always there. Once you plant it, all you're doing is cut stems, and it keeps shooting stems once you take good care of it. So you don't need a whole acre land to feed yourself, you know. Good? Let's start doing these things. It will help us to save some money. And so while everybody else is spending to broke, and not sure of what they're eating, you could be saving money and be sure that what you're eating is organic, not contaminated with drugs and so on. I see Jenny's book say Corrida, yeah. Many of us got some chain link fence. We got vine running on them instead of Corella plant. If you want something running your chain link fence, put Corella. Corella. Passion fruit. Y'all remember the other thing to passion fruit? Sumoto. Put those things and let it run on your fence. You can't go wrong. You got drink right there. Instead of living in the shop to buy aerated drink. Squash. Put them on your fence to run. Pumpkin, they're just run a ground. Right? These are things that we can do. Little things. I mean, I sit here many mornings and I talk to them. And I speak in just a conversational tone, and y'all might say, I'm gaffing. I'm not gaffing. I'm encouraging us to do different and do better. We can do different, we can do better. A pint, what they call it, seasoning pepper is about $1,000 a pint. All you need is one plant in your yard. Where we used to have in our yards board pepper. Very good pepper plant, again for medicinal purposes and otherwise. Board pepper, it's 42 board pepper and thing, and you get rid of coal in your body and so on and so forth and thing. But that thing hot bite. But get board pepper. If you get board pepper plant in your yard, or even the seasoning plant peppers they call it, the wiri and whatever your choice of pepper. You don't have to go and spend $1,000 for a pint of pepper. If you leave it out in the open for 24 hours, it turns water. It turns water, it doesn't stand up. So there are lots of things we can do to fortify ourselves economically. Lots of things. This is black cake season. How many of you soak? How many of you soak? I'm gonna get like them foreign people star fruit. Y'all know star fruit? Carambola. 5 finger. How many of you throughout the year collected 5 finger and soak it? Because you know year end coming, you gotta get fruits of black cake. No, nobody ain't soaking 5 finger no more. Nobody ain't soaking dongs, nobody ain't soaking cashew to make fruits of Christmas. Nice a good tropical fruit black cake. Everybody waiting to go in the supermarket and buy candy this and candy that and candy the other to make black cake. Yeah, these are just some thoughts I had this morning. I said, let's share it with y'all because we could do better for ourselves. Especially when you live in villages, you got sometimes when people got carambola falling out of the tree. As I say, carambola for knock dog. I gotta take this call, the boss calling. Aye. Yes, sorry about that. If you could read my lip, that's good for you. I'm going to teach you a thing on the lane. You ever come across the word empowering? You got empower your fowl and duck. Right? Get a piece of mesh or some wallaba staves. I know later your business so you could pick up what we call strips strips or scantlings, whatever, from the lumber yard. And you can separate and pull a section of your yard or sections of your yard for livestock and for crops. Yeah, so you could plant anything you want. You just have to put in some work and do some empolering. Right? Especially ducks. Ducks want to be in a specific area all the time. Them things that just make your place a mess. Right? But you have to empoler. Do empolering. Good. So, I lost my train of thoughts there, you know. Where was I? Tell you how you can make a difference in terms of you're not spending to broke. Yes, I was saying in communities like ours, and you know, well, I can't say communities like ours. There was a time in this community where you have your neighbors and other people in the village who got carambola knocking dog, falling off a tree, and you could always go and beg or buy a little bit here, a little bit there. And you just add into the barrel or the bucket or wherever you're preserving this fruit in all the time. You go, you pick up a couple carambola somewhere, you come and you wash it, dice it and drop it in the bucket and so on and things. Right? Not now. We ain't planting nothing. We ain't preserving nothing. We waiting till the direct time to go and buy. And so when you reach the direct time to buy, Christmas season, Christmas is what? 19 and 1 make 25, 6 days away, less than a week. Now a lot of people looking for fruits. Now a lot of people looking for meat. What happened? We don't make hams in this country anymore. We don't make our own hams anymore. We don't do our own, what I call them? Something pork. I don't got no dealings with pork, so I don't even, oh, garlic pork. Yeah, so got garlic pork yet. Right? But we know the things we usually want for this grand celebration of God knows what. And we wait until the last minute to go looking to buy it. And what happens, right? Because this is where economics comes in. Everybody doesn't know economics at that high level. But observation should let you know that when the demand is high, when everybody wants to buy the same thing, and supply is low, then prices go through the roof. And that is what is happening right now. That is what eats up our money. We wait until the last minute or in the last week for Christmas to go looking for certain things. And since the merchants know everybody want the same thing to buy, and we ain't got enough to supply everybody, so if we hold for price, we can get pricing, all gonna still sell. That's what happens. You go there and you pay a lot of money. Some of these very things you could buy during the year, you know. Well, you can buy table towels and so all through the year and store them up for Christmas. They're cheaper early in the year. And you also get the luxury of time to take your time and search for quality stuff as against rushing around in the last month or last week or last days. I was told the best time to buy things for Christmas is Diwali. At that time you get Christmas lights on sale. Cheap. Because the merchants are people who celebrate Diwali and they support people who celebrate Diwali. So they put the price so that the people could afford it. Buy your lights there and throw them in a corner. Assuming that you really want to buy, because I don't support this buying nothing for Christmas. Right? Buy stuff that are not perishable all through the year. Put them up. You pay less. But everybody is rushing out now to get a carpet. And carpet prices gone through the roof. Everybody now want a settee. Settee prices gone through the roof. Because we haven't paid attention to that. When all of us are going out to buy it at the same time. The supply is low, demand is high, prices become high. You can't say I ain't teaching you nothing. I'm still in the opposition benches. Not the official opposition because I ain't in parliament. I'm still in the opposition benches, but I'm empowering you. That's the empowerment I can give you, and that is what I was saying yesterday. The opposition people, representatives, must stop thinking that because they're in opposition, they can't do nothing for their constituencies. They could do a whole lot. Some of them got masters in this and masters in that and masters in the other. Go to the communities and host workshop with your people. I host a workshop here every day, especially on Thursdays now with Strictly Business. Go to your constituents, host workshops with them, empower them with knowledge. Point them in directions where they can get tangible things. You know, Brother Guyana taught us that, you know, that's why our politics in the WPA has to always be different. You can write projects to these funding agencies. Well, I don't know what the criteria is now these days. Well, last year, our opposition parliamentarians, he wrote a project for community and got it funded by USAID or Canada Fund or BNT, Basic Needs Trust Fund. Huh? What are your political opposition representatives doing for you? I'm giving them a Christmas present and telling them some of the things they could do for you, that you could be better off. I was reflecting this morning. It's not diversion, you know. We just keep talking about things. I was reflecting this morning and I said, what if I'm so well known in the opposition ranks and I can't get a lot of these office holders to even listen to me, much less to do things that might result in a benefit for me? Can you imagine the plight of the ordinary citizen in this country? Can you imagine the plight of the ordinary citizen in this country? The people that got as representatives ain't got no time to give them an ear. I heard a particular South Georgian community, the people see the representative walk a whole day, all night, whatever. Whenever they see the representative, she doesn't have the courtesy of saying morning. She speaks to nobody in the constituents. How she get elected, man? On a party list? Come on, we gotta do better. Anyways, I hope y'all learned something. I hope I've done something for you this morning. The song said, somebody tell me don't try the morning singing thing, but I always remember the words of, who was that? Cindy Lauper? Somebody sang this, Diana Ross perhaps, I can't remember. Ooh, yeah. What has he done for you lately? What did I do for you? What am I doing for you lately? I don't like go along the road. They say I'm bitter. I ain't bitter. I just am representing the people, and sometimes it get under your skin when you watch these jagabats. All them are the same thing. Well, anyway, yeah. I did say, you know, we're going to talk this morning about the Venezuela border controversy story. Sometimes I cry because I lose things. When this computer gave me such a problem, oh, I think let me see if I find them indeed. God, I want to start this discussion by playing something for you. So we're gonna,
a message from the...
So we're going to understand. For those who don't understand, let us start by establishing understanding. Maybe we'll have to have this discussion over a series of programs, but let's start this morning. 5 and 9 is 14. They will take us to 20 past 8. All right.
A message from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in association with the Ministry of Education. The sovereign state of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana is our territory. 83,000 square miles of luscious land, blessed with many waters that generations of our citizens call home. Our boundary with Venezuela was established by international law since 1899. However, Venezuela has continued to violate the international law and treaties with controversial aggressive actions and unwarranted claims on 5/8 of Guyana's territory. Guyana's boundaries are clear and absolute, so remember these 4 facts of Guyana's sovereignty. Fact 1. Know your history. Before Guyana's independence in May 1966, our country was under the colonial rule of Great Britain. During this period, in 1830 to be precise, Venezuela raised the issue of her boundary with Great Britain. In 1844, German explorer Robert Schomburg was commissioned by Great Britain to carry out a survey and produced a map of British Guyana, which the Venezuelan government rejected. Fact 2. Know the law. Territorial disputes cannot be separated from international law, because the law is the bedrock of all modern nations. As Guyana and Venezuela are both members of the United Nations, all UN members are automatically parties to the rules and regulations of the Charter of the United Nations and the Statute of the International Court of Justice, the principal judicial organ of the United Nations. There are several legally binding agreements and decisions: the Treaty of Washington of 1897, the arbitral ruling and award of 1899, the 1905 Border Demarcation Agreement between the United Kingdom and Venezuela, and the Geneva Agreement of 1966. Under the 1966 Geneva Agreement, both parties agreed to authorize the Secretary General of the United Nations to choose the means of settlement of the border controversy. Additionally, the Geneva Agreement allowed for Venezuela to prove its contention that the arbitral award of 1899 was null and void. To this day, Venezuela has never done so. Throughout the last 52 years, despite several mechanisms, including the Good Offices process under the United Nations Secretary General, there has been no progress for the solution of the controversy. Fact 3. Know your boundaries. The land boundary between Guyana and Venezuela was settled 118 years ago. The arbitral award that determined the boundary continues to be accepted under international law, and the boundary line it established is depicted on internationally recognized maps, including the map World Today produced by the United Nations. Fact 4. Know the latest information. Because as of May 2018, the facts are: on the 30th of January 2018, under the authority of the 1966 Geneva Agreement, the Secretary General announced that the International Court of Justice would be the next means to be used for the solution of the controversy. And on the 29th of March 2018, the Foreign Affairs Minister filed Guyana's application with the International Court of Justice. It is the government of Guyana's fundamental right to protect and guard our nation and sovereign boundaries. This land is my own.
Our country, our own. We won't give it up now. Standing together as one will take us strong. Step by step we go. Our country, our own. We won't give it up now. So before you make a move, just think it over. This land is my home.
Guyana, arise, win glory.
Standing together as one will take us strong. Step by step we grow. Our country, our home.
That was a message from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in association with the Ministry of Education, with thanks to World Wildlife Fund and the United Nations. A message from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in association with the Ministry of Education.
Hi there, Guyana. Let me enlighten you on the historical facts about the Guyana-Venezuela border issue. It started way back in 1830, in Guyana's pre-independence British colonial times, when Venezuela said,
Hey, Britain, hola. So what's going on with our boundary with you?
And Great Britain was like,
We're sending intrepid explorer Robert Schomburg, German chap, from the Royal Geographical Society to draw the western boundary between our two territories. So in 1840, Schomburg was dispatched to the far edges of the colony, and on his return in 1844, produced a map with the western boundaries marked out.
and Venezuela was like,
Wait, ¿qué? No me gusta eso. We don't like this.
hence the beginning of a dispute that lasted until 1895, when the good old USA exercised the Monroe Doctrine and came to the rescue by getting Great Britain and Venezuela into arbitration. Now, arbitration is basically where both sides come together with an independent person or body to thrash things out and settle a dispute. That took another 4 years of diplomacy and negotiation.
Whoa. Wait 1 minute. Aren't you forgetting something?
Oh, my humblest apologies. The 1897 Washington Treaty, everyone.
So, you may want to forget about me so you can jump straight to the famous Arbitral Tribunal decision of 1899. But history forgets that I was the first settlement, the numero uno primero agreement, that both parties, Jose Andrade from Venezuela and Julian Ponsifoot from Great Britain, signed, sealed, and delivered to Washington on the 2nd day of February, 1897. Yes, it was I who stated in Article 13 that both parties would consider the proceedings of the Tribunal of Arbitration as a full, perfect, and final settlement of all of the questions referred to the arbitrators. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. 1897 Washington Treaty. Everyone. Now, where was I? Yes. On the 3rd of October, 1899, the Arbitral Tribunal, set up in 1898, gave its final decision on the issue. Drumroll, please! And the Arbitral Award of 1899 goes to Great Britain and Venezuela, everyone! Come on down! Venezuela was so satisfied with that result that both parties came together to create the Venezuela and British Mixed Boundary Commission, and a joint report was drafted and signed on January 10, 1905. Yes, the boundary line is good. We have a full, perfect, and final settlement, right? Wrong. Because after 63 years of Venezuela demonstrating compliance and acceptance of the Arbitral Award of 1899, in 1962, Venezuela decided,
No. We don't like this. The Arbitral Award of 1899, 1899, is still null and void to us.
It all has to do with this gentleman, Severo Mallet-Prévost, a junior member of the team representing Venezuela in the 1899 Arbitral Tribunal. Now stay with me as this is important. In January 1944, Mr. Mallet-Prévost was awarded the Order of the Liberator, the highest award that can be given to a civilian by the Venezuelan government. 1 month later, on February 8, 1944, after all the participants of the Arbitral Tribunal had passed away, Mr. Mallet-Prévost dictated a memo which he instructed not to be published until after his death. So, in 1949, as instructed, after his death, the document was published and the content stated in the 1899 Arbitral Award was null and void, on the grounds that the award was the result of a political deal between the judges on the tribunal. Until now, no evidence has been produced to support this claim. So, back to 1962. An interesting time in Guyana's history to suddenly declare an annulment of a judicial treaty that had stood for 63 years, especially as it was the beginning of our nation's move to independence from the British. Taking into account the forthcoming independence of our nation, the government of Great Britain, in collaboration with the government of British Guyana, agreed with the government of Venezuela to the Geneva Agreement, which established a mixed commission to settle Venezuela's unfounded contention that in 1899, the arbitral award, in their opinion, is null and void. Let's welcome the 1966 Geneva Agreement, everyone!
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I am the Geneva Agreement, a legally binding international treaty signed by the representatives of Great Britain, Venezuela, and British Guyana on the 17th of February 1966. I'm not very long, just 8 articles, but here's the thing. According to the agreement, the Mixed Commission had 4 years to complete its mission to resolve the border issue once and for all. But guess what? Even though Venezuela signed the agreement, they said,
No. We don't like this. The arbitral award of 1899, 1899, is still null and void to us.
So therefore, the Mixed Commission was blocked by Venezuela, leaving me, the Geneva Agreement, still waiting to fulfill my mandate. But both parties departed knowing that in Article 4, the two sides were left to pursue alternative measures to resolve the issue, as provided by Article 33 of the Charter of the United Nations.
Thank you, Geneva Agreement. You've been great. Okay, so cut to 1989 and its stalemate. Since Guyana and Venezuela could not agree on another means of settlement of the controversy caused by Venezuela's claim that the arbitral award was not valid, the United Nations Secretary-General chose the Good Offices Process in 1990. Hi there, UN Good Offices Process. You guys look exhausted. Are you okay?
No, we're not okay. And yes, we're exhausted. We have exhausted all our diplomatic skills in trying to bring a resolution to this controversy.
It doesn't help that over the years, Venezuela has continued to violate Guyana's territorial integrity and undertake economic acts of aggression. That includes the Venezuelan occupation of the Guyanese half of Ankoko Island in 1966, the Leone Decree of 1968 attempting to lay claim to Guyana's waters, systematic escalation of aggression in 2013 with the apprehension of a vessel conducting seismic studies in Guyana's exclusive maritime economic zone by the Venezuelan Navy, protests and threats against companies involved in economic partnerships with the government of Guyana, and in 2015, the mobilization of military troops along the border with Guyana together with 2 Venezuelan presidential decrees, which also lays claim to most of Guyana's maritime territory. These decrees came at a time when oil was discovered in commercial quantities off the coast of Essequibo. How convenient.
It's 2018, and we've been at this since 1990.
But do not despair. There is light at the end of the tunnel.
Really? What is it?
Well, we were given a strengthened mandate of mediation in December 2016 by our boss, the United Nations Secretary-General, who has informed President David Granger of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and President Nicolas Maduro of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela that if significant progress is not made toward arriving at a full agreement for the solution of the controversy by the end of 2017, he will choose the International Court of Justice as the next, and we all trust the final, means of settlement.
It's 2018 now. Has there been any word from the UN Secretary General?
Yes, actually yes. Finally, on January 30th, 2018, the United Nations Secretary General declared that as there had not been significant progress to the solution of the border controversy in the timeline given, which was the end of 2017, he has chosen the International Court of Justice as the next means of settlement.
Awesome. Thank you, UN Good Offices Process.
Yes.
On the 29th of March 2018, the Foreign Affairs Minister filed Guyana's application against Venezuela with the International Court of Justice, the principal judicial organ of the United Nations. So, as of now, that's where we are. That is the history of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and Venezuela's border issue. All the facts. Be assured, Guyana, the government is working through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to settle this long-standing issue with our neighbor by peaceful and diplomatic means. In this way, we will uphold the sanctity of treaties and the rule of international law. God bless Guyana. One people, one nation, one destiny. Guyana, arise, win glory.
A message from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in association with the Ministry of Education, with thanks to the United Nations.
Well, I saw somebody ask if that is the best the ministry could put together. Let me start there. Which ministry are you talking about? This thing was done in 2018 by the coalition government. Carl Greenidge as Minister of Foreign Affairs. So immediately, if you're looking for a difference of how the border controversy was treated under the coalition compared to under this PPP kleptocratic government, you recognize the difference in quality of education, right? Quality of education. Not only did the coalition do what they think they had to do in terms of working with the UN step by step to get to a resolution of this issue, but they created infomercial edutainment. You notice basically those two pieces presented the same information, you know, or similar, but one was straight factual, educational, and because they took into consideration that people learn differently, they put the other one as entertainment, edutainment. You feel entertained but yet educated. Y'all show me the equivalent of this thieving government. Ali and his band of thieves. Alibaba and 40 thieves. Except in this modern days, like 400 or 4,000 thieves. Because everything is expanded. But yeah, show me where they have done something of this quote-unquote magnitude to really educate the populace about this situation. And that is why I said, let us start there. Because you'll see a difference in approach. The Guyana administration is we going to sit down with Maduro and at the invite of Gonzalez and Silak and CARICOM and so on and thing. We are engaged in the UN process and we will follow the UN process. Mana right? Them that know it not that they know not, believe that they know all. And so they decided to go and meet with Maduro. With an argument that they won't be discussing the border controversy. As a matter of fact, border controversy has become dispute in their language. And language is important, especially when you're dealing with a court of law. By going to this meeting and talking about border dispute, the representatives of this country have acknowledged vicariously, or some people might say carelessly, that they have a dispute, whereas we, the citizens and history has taught us that we don't have a dispute. The dispute was settled. Only that disagreeing with you. They got people of that skill at Foreign Affairs. Greenwich sits there as a foreign secretary or something like that. Gets paid. Is he afraid to give the same advice to the PPP that he gave to the coalition at that time? Y'all talk to me. You see, that is why I go about and I like to say, just cuss people. Because generally when I cuss, it's the same cuss I cuss everybody who deserves to get cussed. I don't look wrong to say is my friend or not my friend. When I don't cuss you, you know you're my friend if you can accept the fact that I cuss you because you're doing stupidness. But why do I have to, old people say, curb my words when I'm talking to you about the same situation that I'm talking to him about? That makes sense. If your advice is good for one, it has to be good for both. Right? But look at the rate at which Venezuela acts on these things. By the time Maduro say we annexing Essequibo, maps change. Maps change. Public awareness campaign started. Essequibo must be done get annexed, and this government of Guyana ain't do nothing yet. Yeah? To really educate the populace about what they're dealing with. Seriously. Seriously. Good? So y'all know what went down in St. Vincent. I ain't going to reinvent no wheel. In St. Vincent, they basically agree with Maduro that here we have problems and so on and so forth. And let us agree not to fight each other. That's how I see it, you know. I say it as just that. Because if you listen, if you read the communique, let me call it that, the joint press release, the whatever they call it, you would see, let's say, let's not be aggressive to each other. You know what I say? Let's not be aggressive to each other in our time. So once our time is finished, we could go back to being aggressive. I don't know if you all recognize that, but let me read the joint declaration for you. The joint declaration of Argyle for dialogue and peace between Guyana and Venezuela. On Thursday, December 14, 2023, in Argyle, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, His Excellency Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, and His Excellency Nicolas Maduro, President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, held discussions on matters consequential to the territory in dispute between their two countries. You hear that? Held discussions on matters consequential to the territory in dispute between their two countries. These discussions were facilitated by the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and pro tempore President of the Community of Latin America and Caribbean States, CELAC, Dr. the Honorable Ralph E. Gonzalez, and the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica and Chairman of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt. Prime Ministers Gonzalez and Skerritt, together with His Excellency Mr. Celso Amorim, Special Advisor and Personal Envoy of His Excellency Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, President of the Federative Republic of Brazil, acted as principal interlocutors. Also present were Honorable Prime Ministers of the Caribbean Community, namely the Honorable Philip Davis, Prime Minister of the Bahamas, the Honorable Mia Amor Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Decon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada, the Honorable Philip J. Pierre, Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Honorable Terence Drew of St. Kitts and Nevis, and Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Attending as observers on behalf of His Excellency Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, were Their Excellencies Courtenay Rattray, Chef de Cabinet of the Office of the Secretary General of the United Nations, and Miroslav Zhenka, Under Secretary General of the United Nations, Department of Political and Peacebuilding Affairs. In addition, His Excellency Alvaro Lea Duran, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Colombia, and Mr. Gerardo Torres Zelaya, Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Honduras, in his capacity as CELAC Troika, also participated. All parties attending the meeting at Argyle, St. Vincent and the Grenadines reiterated their commitment to Latin America and the Caribbean remaining a zone of peace. Guyana and Venezuela declared as follows. Listen to these declarations. 1. Agree that Guyana and Venezuela directly or indirectly will not threaten or use force against one another in any circumstances, including those consequential to any existing controversies between the two states. 2. Agree that any controversies between the two states will be resolved in accordance with international law, including the Geneva Agreement dated February 17, 1966. 3. Committed to the pursuance of good neighborliness, peaceful coexistence, and the unity of Latin America and the Caribbean. 4. Noted Guyana's assertion that it is committed to the process and procedures of the International Court of Justice for the resolution of the border controversy. Noted Guyana's assertion of its lack of consent. Noted Venezuela's assertion of its lack of consent and lack of recognition of the International Court of Justice and its jurisdiction in the border controversy. So let me stick a pin here at number 4. It is clear there is no agreement between Guyana and Venezuela as really and truly the way forward for the resolution of this controversy, which is currently before the ICJ. Guyana is saying we recognize the ICJ's jurisdiction and we respect the process. We're committed to that. Venezuela is saying, no, we don't recognize them and we ain't committing to that. Right? 5. Agree to continue dialogue on any other pending matters of mutual importance to the two countries. 6. Agree that both states will refrain, whether by words or deeds, from escalating any conflict or disagreement arising from any controversy between them. The two states will cooperate to avoid incidents on the ground conducive to tension between them. In the event of such an incident, the two states will immediately communicate with one another. The Caribbean community, the community of Latin America and the Caribbean, and the President of Brazil to contain, reverse, and prevent its recurrence. 7. Agree to establish immediately a joint commission of the foreign ministers and technical persons from the two states to address matters as mutually agreed. An update from this joint commission will be submitted to the presidents of Guyana and Venezuela within 3 months. So there is a joint commission that should be established, and they will be addressing whatever matters Ali and Maduro have agreed on. And they will report, they will present an update to Ali and Maduro in a matter of 3 months. Both states agree that Prime Minister Raul Gonzalez, the pro tempore president of CELAC, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerry, the incumbent of CARICOM chairman, and President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva of Brazil will remain seized of the matter as interlocutors, and the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres as observer, with the ongoing concurrence of President Cifanali and Nicolas Maduro. For the avoidance of doubt, Prime Minister Gonzalez's role will continue even after St. Vincent and the Grenadines ceases to be the pro tempore president of CELAC, within the framework of the CELAC Troika +1, and Prime Minister Skerritt's role will continue as a member of CARICOM Bureau. 9. Both states agreed to meet again in Brazil within the next 3 months or at another agreed time to consider any matter with implications for the territory in dispute. Territory in dispute. including the above mentioned update of the Joint Commission. We express our appreciation for Prime Minister Gonzalo Skerrit, President Lula, and his personal envoy, Celso Morin, to all other CARICOM Prime Ministers present, to the officials of the CARICOM Secretariat, to the CELAC Troika, and to the head of the CELAC PTP Secretariat in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. His Excellency Dr. Douglas Slater for their respective roles in making this meeting a success. We express our appreciation to the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for their kind facilitation and hospitality at this meeting. Dated this 14th day of December 2023. Right? Morning, neighbor, morning. Are you morning? Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. I am your host, the BUXTONIAN, Kidaki Amsterdam. It is 19 minutes past the 7 o'clock hour on the 20th day of December in the year 2023. Welcome to the program. How have you been? What happened to you yesterday? Or what you made happen yesterday? What did you do that is of significance? What did you do that, again, would have influenced your now and your future? Earned some money, started a business, invested in something. What did you do that you consider significant? Have you rested and recuperated? Are you satisfied with where you are at this stage of your life? Employment-wise, economic-wise, health-wise, are you? What can you do to change that situation? Have you decided that, the advice that you've been getting from us here at Kams TV, to don't spend all your money on this Christmas season or any Christmas season whatsoever. Don't spend all your money making festivity. Save some for wet days. Leave the little back pain that you got paid on the 15th, I think, in the bank there. Don't trouble it until you have a definitive project that will help you to multiply that money. Try to continue to living off the pittance you were living on before you got a pittance. Right? I hope you have considered those things. Yesterday I was talking about little ways in which you can empower yourself economically by saving on your day-to-day expenses, especially in the area of food. Chop 2 cassava stick in your backyard. Chop 2 oko seed. Chop 2 bygone seed. Right? Put 2 Carolina vine for run on your fence and stuff like that. You will be surprised. I'm telling you, if you take these steps, you'll be surprised at how much benefits you will get from them. Most important for me, you eat healthy because you know what you're planting. It's not no jog up food from somebody that is planting commercially. So you get good stuff to eat. And you can also sell the extras. But most importantly, the money that you would have been spending to buy greens, as we like to say, vegetables and so on, is money that you can keep for other purposes. Can you imagine going into the market now to say buying pumpkin for a family of 4? You gotta be rich, you gotta be doing well. Right? But this is not pumpkin season, they can tell you. This is 5 days? Wow, 5 days. Compliments of the season from us here at Kams TV. 5 days to Christmas. And 6 days to the end of the year. I'm lying. 11 days to the end of the year. Right? Everybody's talking about how many days from Christmas. We're not talking about how many days to the new year. An election year, I dare say, 2024. But it's Wednesday, Doc Hines is in the house. Welcome to the program, Doc. How you do? You're muted apparently. I'm not getting you. I'm not hearing you, sir. Let me see. Okay, let me see. I think I need to change something. Good morning again.
Good morning.
Roger that. It was my technical error. So how you do, boy? Happy birthday. Guyanese like say happy belated birthday. It means it take more than 9 months. Happy
Thank you.
Happy birthday, boy.
Thank you.
Good. I know you ain't gonna be here if we take the drink in December, but we can take the drink still. Don't think we Guyanese don't forget when it was your birthday and you drew us a drink, you know. We just keep them thing on record. So keep that in mind. We can't really pressure the public servants to a drink from the increase because it's not much. The government has declared 6.5% increase for public servants, a $25,000 grant for pensioners and permanently disabled people. In the fastest growing economy that the President Ali has been boasting about, what are your observations from that kind of declaration in this era? This continued declaration of 6.5% and less than 10%. And if we look at the history of the increases, that as a matter of fact, let me refer to Henry Jeffrey. I think Henry Jeffrey pointed it out on your program a few weeks ago or a few programs ago, that the increase as a percentage of public spending, I think, has constantly been reduced over the years. What are your thoughts on this continued wickedness from the government to the public servants?
Well, good morning again to your viewers. The economists are saying that in real terms, it is not an increase, it's a decrease. When you factor in the inflation rate, the prices of goods and services, essential goods and services on the market, then the 6.5 increase is really a decrease in public service wages. So it's really not an increase in real terms. By the time you say 6.5% of $80,000, you take out taxes, and then you take into consideration prices of goods and services. That increase really falls below what the workers are going to pay for basic food items and so forth. So it's really a decrease in a real economic sense. Now, it's a shame because public servants are the only category of workers who have not been treated with any kind of particular concern on the part of the government. And here is where we move from the economics to the politics of it. These are government workers, and we have to say upfront that all governments in post-colonial Guyana have had an issue with paying public servants better wages. I cannot remember any time since I started to follow politics 50 odd years ago that governments have not been in collision with public service. There are some traditional economic theories that say if you pay public servants too much, then there will be too much money, and it would lead to inflation and all those orthodox theories. And so public servants have always had to struggle for a better wage from governments. Let's put that up front. The previous government, the coalition government, when it came into power, to its credit, it raised the minimum wage by, I think, 40-odd%. I don't have the direct figures, but it raised the minimum wage. And in raising the minimum wage, that directly affected a lot of public servants. So that was a plus for public servants. But even the coalition government did not deal adequately with public service wages. And we know the whole problem of collective bargaining. Even that coalition government was not as forthcoming as it should have been as far as collective bargaining with the unions were concerned. But overall, like I said, they raised the minimum wage and they brought public servants up to where they are now. This government has a further problem with public servants. Public servants, by and large, belong to that section of the population that is not part of the political constituency of the PPP. And we know that the PPP factor in political constituencies when it comes to economic policies. That we notice that those areas of the economy where their supporters are located are treated differently from the areas of the economy where their supporters are not located. And this is one of the problems of bifurcated societies like ours. You take sugar, for example, sugar workers, they're treated differently. They just passed the supplemental in Parliament, and I think they're $2 billion there, 2-point-something billion dollars there for sugar workers. And so the government's attitude to sugar workers, their attitude to the rice industry, has always been different from their attitude to the public servants. And this goes way back in the 1960s. In fact, the PPP government was partly brought down by the fact that it did not treat adequately with the public servants. Not a cent more, the Calder budget, which led to massive strikes by the public servants, the famous 80-day strike. And that helped to bring down the PPP government in the 1960s. And when they came back to power, they continued the same attitude to the public service workers, leading to arbitration after a strike in 1999. And they went to arbitration, and the workers were granted certain increases by the arbitrators, and the government never really honored those increases. So there's always been a collision with the government and public service workers. Now, when we listen to Vice President Jacques Dion, there's a philosophy that is now part of the praxis of the PPP, and that is that public servants are not productive workers. They're not productive workers. They're not producing tangible goods and services, unlike, let's say, sugar workers who are producing sugar. The argument is that public servants do not really produce anything tangible. Now, that is backward economics, because even economists who are grounded in the Western theories of economics, the so-called neo-liberals and so on, even they have come around to the fact that workers, government workers, teachers, nurses, and so on are essential workers. And because they're essential workers, even though they're not producing anything tangible, they're contributing to the tangible things that are produced in the country. That the worker, the factory worker, the agriculture worker, that worker has to be in good health. And here's where nurses and doctors come in. those workers have to have a level of literacy, a level of education, areas where teachers come in. The wheel of government itself has to turn. Government has to work. For the government to be of service to factory workers and agricultural workers, that government needs people to work the government. And so these workers are as essential as other workers. The soldiers, the policemen and women, yes, they're not producing anything tangible, but they're contributing to the national good. They're contributing tremendously. I mean, if you don't have a police force, then there's no order in the society. There's crime and all those kinds of stuff. And so therefore, it is very backward for the PPP to be making that argument that these workers are incidental to the production of wealth in the society. But that is part of the PPP's narrative now. And I rather suspect that it is really used as an excuse for not paying the workers better, not as the reason for not paying the workers better. Because I do think that Jack Dio and others know better from an economic standpoint, and that theory of economics is not valid, especially in a society like ours. And so therefore, I think it is being used as the excuse for not paying workers. So in a sense, the generation of wealth in the society, and if you listen to Jack, he's saying public servants, wages and salaries should be tied not to the money coming in from oil. The wages and salaries should be tied from the non-oil economy. So you see where their thinking is. So the generation of wealth via the oil economy, public servants are cut off from that. It is the same money that came in from the oil that they were able to give sugar workers $250,000 cash grant, that they were able to subsidize sugar. As I said in the supplemental, they just voted over $2 billion for sugar workers. So their argument is that these workers, these other workers, their salaries should be tied to the oil wealth, and public servants' salaries should not be tied to the oil wealth, that it should be in the non-oil economy. Now, we know that the non-oil economy has been underperforming because obviously the government does not have a vision of integrating the non-oil sections of the economy with the oil section of the economy. And so the economy is being carried largely by the wealth that is coming from oil. And so to eliminate the salaries and wages of one section of the society from the oil wealth, I think is a form of discrimination. A form of discrimination. And here is where the structural nature of the underdevelopment and underpaying of public servants is the issue. It's not something by the way. It's not part of the structure, because the government is deliberately saying we are delinking the wages and salaries of public servants from the oil economy. So the pauperizing of the public servants is part of the structural nature of the economy. It was always like that, and it is now more pronounced. Now, I am not going to sit here and say Mr. Jack Dio and others in the government start off by saying we are going to pauperize Black people. That may be so, but I have no evidence of that. What I do have evidence of is that the policy that they're pursuing vis-a-vis public servants, first of all, not engaging in collective bargaining with their unions, and then delinking their wages and salaries from the aspect of the economy that is bringing in the wealth into the country. The consequence of that, the outcome of that approach is ethnic, because the public servants are, for the most part, African Guyanese. And so the consequence, the outcome of the PPP's policy is ethnic, because it has an ethnic impact on one ethnic community than other ethnic communities, given the fact that one ethnic community overpopulates the public sector. And when you take into consideration that the government in power gets its support from one ethnic community, and that Mr. Jagdeo himself once referred to the PPP as a quote-unquote coolie party, then you take into consideration it's a party that is grounded in the Indian Guyanese community, then that further exacerbates the ethnic outcomes of the policy. So this problem with wages and salaries for public servants has legs far beyond mere salaries for workers.
Thank you, Dr. Answer that response in depth as it is. Because yes, a lot of the things you have identified here in my mind are things I intended to ask and talk about. Because in your response you mentioned the fact that none of the Guyanese governments have ever done fairly by workers. But I hasten to point out the fact that there were two Guyanese governments that had access to the kind of resources that the country now has. And that is the coalition that left office in 2020 when the money was shaping up to trickle in, if I can see. And so technically it's only one government, and the PPP which took over from them in 2020 when oil money really started coming to this country. And so if we were to look at the pre-oil economy, the Granger government has certainly shown an inclination, a willingness to improve the lot of public servants through those increases. And one would believe that if they were still in office when this oil money started flowing, public servants would have been treated differently. And of course, we see what the PPP is doing currently with the increases or non-increases. And then the argument that, listen, public servants increases, wages and salaries can be pegged to the oil economy. It must be pegged to the economy where the traditional economy, that is, where we didn't have access to the kind of resources. So yes, I'm really happy for that. Those are observations, because that is what is happening in the society. And like you rightly said, in my mind especially, and I'm sure in the mind of lots of other people, it's just a way of entrenching the discriminatory practices and philosophy of the PPP in terms of the treatment of the public servants. What also apparently is entrenched by the PPP is the divide and conquer. You're better than them, so we'll treat you better than them mentality, or trick. Because again, we have seen the military being offered 1 month bonus salaries, and this 1 month now has now been extended to the civilian employees of the military. why do you think there has been that shift in terms of including the civilian employees of the military in the 1 month bonus? And further, why do you think, why is this continued divisive measure being used?
And first of all, it doesn't cost the government very much to include the civilians. It's not any big money, so included the civilians, it's neither here nor there. But I think what you're driving at is the overall approach to dealing with not just the constituencies of the opposition, but one could say the entire country, and that is the approach of clientelism. Look, I'm not going to your unions and work out an arrangement with the unions and come to an agreement with the unions, because if I do that, the unions will claim that they fought for their members and they got these wages and salaries for their members. So what I will do, this is the government, is bypass the unions, and the government then gives you these bonuses. So first of all, the government is giving you gifts. Like I said, it's clientelistic. It's a form of clientelism. That's the first thing. But secondly, they're playing on the feeling that human beings by their very nature are not always cognizant of what happened. Thank God for small mercies. There's that philosophy that is ingrained in our culture. And so the workers will get the little bonus and they will be thankful for it, not realizing that when you compare what they get with what others are getting, that's a little pittance. And eventually the workers will find that out. But even when they find out that what they're getting is a little pittance, they're driven mostly by the fact that they're grateful for the little small mercies. And so the government is taking advantage of that. It's taking advantage of that.
Good. Thank you again. Now we come to the recent meeting of the Venezuela-Guyana meeting on the border controversy. We know that against a lot of advice and public opinions, the Ali administration, led by Ali himself, agreed to meet with Maduro in St. Vincent, a meeting facilitated by Silak and CARICOM and Ignacio da Silva of Brazil and so on. And Ali went to the meeting, first and foremost without an agenda being set, also promising the nation that the border controversy is not going to be discussed, because he's adamant that the ICJ process must be respected, and etc. etc. All of that against the background of the Venezuelans trying desperately, I would say, over an extended period of time to get Guyana to sit at the table and discuss with them bilaterally, man to man, as they say, settling this issue, which we have always acknowledged as a controversy, as against I lost that word there. Anyhow, I'll get to that word. But here it is. Ali went to this meeting, and coming out of the Argyle Declaration, has agreed that there's a border conflict. At least from the declarations we have seen, it would appear as though Ali has agreed that there's a border conflict. And coming out of that whole meeting and these agreements and declarations, we've seen that there's now a border commission set up, with a joint commission set up between Venezuela and Guyana to look at this issue. Is it your view that the PPP government led by Ali has walked back the gains that this country has made over the years in terms of the settlement of this border issue with Venezuela?
Well, it's not entirely fair to say Ali has walked back. It is fair to say that the outcome of the meeting is the walking back of everything that Guyana has done since 1966 on this issue. And the reason I say that is not any sympathy for Ali. But when you look and see who were at the meeting, you know, CELAC, including Brazil, Colombia, CARICOM, all the heavyweights of CARICOM were there. The United Nations had representatives there, some of the other international organizations, the OAS and so forth. You can then conclude that Ali had, in the end, could not avoid that meeting, because some of the people he's depending on, we are depending on, were at the meeting, and they threw their support behind the meeting. And you know, you don't want to say to Brazil and Colombia and CARICOM and others, look, I'm not coming, because you are depending on these people as your allies. So as we say in Guyanese and Caribbean parlance, he was caught between a rock and a hard place. He should not have been at the meeting. And the only way he could have avoided that is if from the get-go, he had come out with a clear roadmap towards meeting. Now, our view in the WPA is that you want to keep talking on the table. You want to keep dialogue on the table. And so for us, it is not the dialogue, it is what kind of dialogue, when you enter into dialogue, and what are the conditions you enter into the dialogue. And because Ali and his government did not have a clear roadmap, as a government, they didn't have one. Because they didn't consult with the opposition, we didn't have an all-opposition, all-party roadmap. If Ali had a roadmap that says, we will eventually meet with Maduro, but here are some things that we need to get straightened out. First of all, the decrees that arose out of the referendum that, in a sense, politically annexed Guyana. Now, it has not been physically annexed, but politically it has been. Guyana is annexed politically by Venezuela. And if we were advising the Ali government, we would say, before you sit down with Maduro, he has to recall. Those are our conditions. He has to recall those decrees. At a minimum. And before our president meets with Maduro, we are dispatching our foreign minister to meet with Maduro's foreign minister, along with CARICOM and CELAC. So you are talking, but there are conditions to talking, and you're not talking at the highest level, what they call backroom diplomacy. You give that a chance to work. But because the Ali government did not have a clear roadmap, a clear view of how they're approaching this situation, it was easy to get them into that meeting room. I heard you say there was an agenda. There was an agenda. It was just not the agenda that Ali wanted. The agenda was clearly set out in Ralph Gonzalez's letter to Maduro. So there was an agenda. It's not the agenda that Ali wanted. And so Ali should not have been in St. Vincent. Should there have been a St. Vincent meeting? Maybe. But not with Ali there meeting with Maduro. So that's the first problem. The second problem is the CARICOM dimension. The meeting was as much about CARICOM leaders saving their self some embarrassment as it was about settling the Venezuela-Guyana controversy. Traditionally, CARICOM leaders, collectively and individually, have always unequivocally stood with Guyana on the Venezuela issue. There's never any doubt about that. That is no longer the case. Because of the economic aid that Venezuela has given to the individual countries in CARICOM, the gratefulness factor kicks in. And there's always been the gratefulness factor in Caribbean politics. Working people have always been grateful to middle-class people who come into their struggle and contribute to them. I mean, for a long time in Jamaica, the middle-class, half-white, mulatto class controlled both political parties. Jamaica did not have a quote-unquote, although that society is 98% black, did not have a black prime minister until P.J. Patterson took over in 1993, or just before that when Manley retired. In 1993, yes. And because black Jamaicans have always been grateful to the Bustamantes and the Norman Manleys and later Siaga and Michael Manley, because these were middle and upper class, non-black people who stood on their side. And they were grateful. So the gratefulness factor, we see it in Guyana. Janet Jagan, for example, white American, left our country, came to Guyana, stood on the side of Guyanese and the Guyanese working class. And at least the supporters of the PPP were grateful to her. a lot of our leaders weren't barefoot leaders. I mean, the barefoot leaders, the Critchlow and Cipriani and Butler, the trade union leaders, they were quickly replaced by the middle class. Whether it was the black middle class, the brown middle class, the Indian middle class. And so the gratefulness factor is very much part of our politics. But here, the gratefulness factor is now part of the elite political culture, meaning the leadership. They're grateful to Venezuela. And that now informs their intra-CARICOM relations. It's a big leap, you know, a big shift. The gratefulness factor is informing intra-CARICOM relations so that CARICOM leaders are no longer unconditionally supportive of Guyana. Their support of Guyana is conditional. I hear people say, you know, CARICOM is with us. And yes, they're with us, but under what condition? And you look at that Argyle report, and you see what CARICOM agreed to on Guyana's behalf. They turned the controversy into a dispute. That's big. Because they have to give Maduro something. They're grateful to him. And Maduro wanted the matter to be moved from a controversy to a dispute. Maduro wanted that. And CARICOM gave him that. It's part of the gratefulness factor. They gave him that. He wanted the Geneva Agreement without the ICJ. They gave him that. He wanted the meeting at the highest level as a first resort. They gave him that. The gratefulness factor. So I am not saying that CARICOM is not with Guyana. They are with Guyana, but not unconditionally. Look at what they gave Maduro. They gave him the Geneva Agreement without the ICJ. I'm repeating. They gave him the high-level meeting as a first resort. They gave him dispute instead of controversy. They silenced Maduro's decrees in the document, in the Argyle Declaration. The decrees are silenced, which in effect means that the declaration endorses the decree. It doesn't roll back the decree, and in not rolling back the decrees, in a sense, what it does, it validates the decrees. So the Argyle Declaration, in the Argyle Declaration, the decrees are silent, and in effect, they stand. That's a hell of a lot to give to Maduro. What did Guyana get? Guyana gets an open-ended assurance that Venezuela is not going to walk across our border. That's all we got. And it's open-ended. Whether it will last 3 months or 3 days or 3 weeks, or we don't know, it's open-ended. Because with the decrees remaining, Venezuela can then put economic pressure on Guyana. We already see that certain ships are not going to use our waterway because it's now a dispute. It's going to have economic impact on us. If Guyana were to grant new license even to Guyanese in Essequibo, according to the decrees, Venezuela has a right to stop those operations. So Guyana gets this open-ended assurance that Venezuela is not going to walk across our border. That's it. Our argument is that we could have gotten those assurances without a meeting between the two big leaders. CARICOM should have been able to deliver that for us without the Argyle Declaration. They didn't. They dragged Ali to the table. And as we say in Guyana, he sang his life away. Sang his life away. But that happens, like I said, when you don't have a roadmap, you don't have a plan of your own, you don't consult with your own opposition, you don't have a national. If Ali had a national position, he would have been able to tell Ralph and me and them, oh, no. Our country, the opposition and civil society and the government, we are at one. That before we meet with Maduro, X, Y, Z. But in the absence of a national thing, he has nothing to go by. Nothing to go with. And when you're weak, when you're in that weak position, you are rolled over easily. So we came out of the first round of talks at a disadvantage. Guyana is at a disadvantage. Venezuela's gotten the advantage. Where that goes in the next 3 months, we will have to wait and see. But for now, Venezuela has the advantage and Guyana is at a grave disadvantage. And it's as a result of the weakness of our government, bad governance, weak national position, and then the CARICOM hustling mentality. The combination of the two has really put Guyana in a bad place.
Has put Guyana in a bad place. You care to give us a quick assessment, if you can, if you will, on the dangers, as I would call them, of this CARICOM shift for Guyana? Is it possible that we're going to lose that Essequibo region based on this?
No. We should not go there. If we do that, then we are doing what they are doing.
But this agreement, this declaration, as we see it, is far
The declaration gives Venezuela an advantage over Guyana. That's what we know.
Okay.
Where that goes, we can't sit here and speculate. What I'm trying to say is that Guyana still has time to get its house in order.
Does this declaration affect the ICJ matter? Do you think it does?
It could. It could affect everything.
Before I ask you specifically about one of the responses to the WPA statement, let me in that declaration there is a talk of Guyana and Venezuela will avoid any aggression, indirect or otherwise. When we look at this clause about indirect aggression, Do you think that clause has a big impact on the relationship that Guyana can now have, military and otherwise, with its allies? Prior to the Argyle Declaration, prior to the St. Vincent meeting, the U.S., for example, was conducting joint, as they say, joint flights, operations, displays with the Guyana military. Do you see this particular clause as having an impact of what I should say, rolling that back?
It potentially could, but in the since the declaration left intact what Venezuela did before, that is the decrees. It means that any arrangement that Guyana had with the United States has to be left intact too. So your question is in order in that it's open-ended. What do we mean by indirect? We don't know. We don't know. That's a gray area. So that's the first reading. The second reading is that implicitly and explicitly, the document leaves the status quo as far as Venezuela is concerned, the referendum, the decree. It doesn't roll that back. It means, therefore, that whatever arrangement Guyana had with the United States and others should not be rolled back. That's the second reading. The third reading is what Venezuela will see as indirect. And you're right. Venezuela could see any military arrangement with the United States as indirect. Will Venezuela act on that and risk annoying or bringing them in conflict with the United States? We don't know. So I give those three scenarios to say the thing is open-ended and we don't know. That is why I'm saying we have to do this one day at a time and see where it goes.
Thank you once more. Now, the WPA, as you've hinted, and I read yesterday for viewers the press release of the WPA in response to that Argyle Declaration. And among the things WPA asked for is the wider approach, coalition government.
No, we didn't ask for coalition government.
No, when I say
we asked for an all-party.
Sorry, yeah. Misinterpretation of terms, this morning a little slow. Yes, an expanded approach, the inclusivity, yeah, let me say inclusivity, in terms of this issue. And the declaration, the press statement also identified some of the things which we have discussed here as the weaknesses, if I can call it that. And I noticed that the PPP folks, again, have responded to the WPA, as they usually do. Dr. Randy Prasad has said WPA is out of its league. The Ali and his advisors alone have the information to make the decisions that they have made. And so the nation, my interpretation, should just sit with its hands clasped and praise them and await the outcome. What's wrong with that kind of attitude to this particular issue?
Well, first of all, it shows that the WPA is correct. And the WPA has struck a chord that makes the PPP uncomfortable. If you notice, Dr. Prasad also said that unlike the PNC, which they think is acting in order, the WPA is out of order. See, the PNC did not go to the meeting. the leader of the opposition was invited. He said, I'm not going because I don't know what the agenda is. And he obviously smelt a rat. And had he gone there, clearly he would have had no input. And he would have had to fetch the burden of a bad declaration. The logic from that would mean that there would have been more doubt cast on the meeting. But the leader of the opposition then said he supports the peace process, as he puts it. The WPA was much clearer. We do not support it. And that's the difference between the two parties. And that's what the PPP sense. And the PPP does not want our non-support of the process and the outcome of the process. They would not want that to become a dominant part of the discourse. They're more comfortable with the kind of middle-of-the-road, cautious approach of the PNC/APNU, and the APNU, AFC, APNU are the best people to explain why they took that position. They didn't go to the meeting, but yet they support the outcome of the meeting. They will have to explain that. That is not my business. But the PPP has identified the difference between the two approaches. We do not support the process, and we do not support the outcome of the process. What we support is that there should be dialogue in principle, but that there should be conditions of dialogue. We're very clear about that. So Randy Prasad did not respond to the WPA's points. He couldn't. What they are uncomfortable with is our clear rejection of the process and the outcome of the process.
Thank you. And in 3 months' time,
and he's basically saying that what they're trying to say is that, look, Ali may have pointed out the things that the WPA has pointed out, in private. And we don't know that. We don't know that in private Ali may have cried and said to CARICOM, you all embarrass me. I should not have been here, but you all bring me here. But in effect, he said, we don't know that. And he's right. We don't know that. And he's saying that the country shouldn't know that. Because it is reasonable to think that Ali was dragged there by his you-know-what. And I'm sure when they drag him by you-know-what, when you squeeze that thing, it hurts. And he will cry. And what Randy Prasad is saying, they squeeze his balls. And the WPA doesn't know that. He's basically saying Ali agrees with the WPA. But he couldn't think because they squeeze his balls. That's what the brother is saying. And our position is, you should not have put your balls on the line.
Thank you. It's now 17 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. I'm tempted to open up the lines at this time. Anything you want to address before I do that?
No. I hope the audience gets the nuance of that exchange. He did not disagree with anything the WPA said. All he's saying is that WPA is not informed. The only thing we could not know is whether his balls got squeezed. We can assume that it was. We can speculate that it was. And Randy's saying, well, we don't know. And yes, we don't know. But if our leader's balls is squeezed, he should tell the nation. And Randy Prasad is saying he should not tell the nation.
Listening to Randy, if the leader's balls is squeezed, is a national security matter, and so
that's what he's saying. So it's not a rejection of the WPA. There's nothing in that statement they can reject. In that statement, we call for weaponizing the army, give the army new weapons, make the army a fighting force, spend this oil money, some of it, in improving the weaponry of the Guyana Defense Force. That's one of the things. I think one of the newspapers used that headline. I can't remember which one of them. It might have been Demerara Waves. I can't remember which one of them used that headline. But that's one of the things that we are very strong on. We said, spend money and improve the weaponry of the defense force. And the other thing we said is that the time has come for the Guyana Defense Force to look like Guyana. It is to Guyana's benefit and Guyana's morale if we have a defense force that includes all the ethnic groups. That will be an advance for us in Guyana. And the WPS called for that. And Randy Prasad is uncomfortable with that, the PPP is. They said it's only the WPA will talk about the ethnic and political sensitivities. But of course, we don't play around with the question of race and ethnicity. Others do. And like I said, I cannot speak for other parties in the opposition. But we are very clear in our minds. African Guyanese alone should not be called upon to protect our country. That's a risk. Because if African Guyanese then decide they're not going to protect our country, then we're in trouble. It is better when all our ethnic groups are there. So no one ethnic group can claim that it is coerced into defending our country. And yes, Randy Prasad is correct. Only the WPA will raise that. Because we come from a position of principle. And we feel that on these matters, you don't play politics, you don't look for votes. You take a principled position and let the chips fall wherever they may.
And so many in the society would argue, as I've heard before, that WPA raising this ethnic issue in terms of balancing the army, a position that the PPP has always been arguing for.
For different reasons. For different reasons.
Yes.
The PPP said the army, as a black force, is discriminating and beating up on Indians. And the only way to stop that is for Indians to join the army. But then, when they went to Indians and tell them to join the army, Indians chased them because they've socialized Indians to see the army in ethnic ways, to see the army as black people walk. So even when they wanted people to join the army, Indian people turned their backs on them. So they wanted Indians to join the army for different reasons. And what they've done as a substitute, since they weren't getting Indians to join the army, is that they positioned Indians within the army. And when they got into power, they raised them to the leadership of the army and the police. That was their fallback position. But we are now calling for Indians to join the army, not to mitigate any aggression against Indians. We are calling for Indians to join the army as a matter of principle, as a matter of national duty. So there are two different reasons.
Thank you, Dr. Einstein. At 23 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour, the lines are now open. You're tuned to the Guyanese Morning Time, and we are talking, among other things, about that 6.5 increase and the attitude of the PPP to public servants and the army. We're also talking about the St. Vincent meeting and the Argyle declarations and the implications for the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy, not dispute, controversy. Call and let's have your opinions. Let's say what you're saying about these issues. Let me remind you that today is Wednesday, and on Friday, Creole Friday continues. Loose Kitchen Club Twilight. Creole Friday continues, and this week we're having some pepper pot. We're going to do some pepper pot this week for you. You can have your pepper pot with bread. You can have it with rice. You can have your pepper pot with ground provisions, boiled ground provision. Your choice, but ensure you place your order by tomorrow, because you know these are things that you have to plan for. Good? When you're cooking, you just got to plan. You don't just wake up and cook a whole ton of food and then you ain't got enough mouths to eat it. Right? Call it live. Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. Good morning, Dr. Ives. Good morning to all my black brothers and sisters in Guyana. Help is on the way. Dr. Hines, to you, last week I did not get to mention this here because the owner for the program did not buzz me in. But my grandmother always teach me, when you have to do today, you will do tomorrow. God makes 7 days. What I was going to say last week, Wednesday, Dr. Hines, you represent me by saying it. Each and every word. And I'm going to repeat these words to you, what you repeat to me a couple months ago. When a young man called in and said he confused during election. And I said, young man, don't get confused. It got 3 doors. And if your doors open, go into your doors and take care of the business. Do your best and leave the rest. And you said to me, you said, Flash Garden, if you were sitting in the back, right away you got to come and sit in the back. The way you explained last week, Wednesday, if you were sitting at the back, you'd be had to come and sit at the front, Dr. Hines. Well done. And 2 days after, when you mentioned those words to me, the Lord made me remember that one of my teachers from BUXTONIAN saw. And Monday morning he came in class. He said, good morning, everyone. And we said, good morning, sir. He said, you, Flash Garden, take all your books and everything, come up in front here and sit in front. This is your permanent seat. So it bothered with me. I wanted to leave somebody report me or what. So in the afternoon before, they leave, said, sir, excuse me, can I look at? He said, yes. I said, why you removed everything? Because you could do much more better. He said, case closed. So I went to tell my grandmother. She said, because you're talking out your sense. You should go back and thank him for remove you because you was talking out your sense and he want you to learn more and do more schoolwork. So what you said today again this morning, I always mention in this program that when the government change, they must go in plan and pass that each and every young man in Guyana, born Guyanese, must serve the country. And if they don't want to serve the country, 10 years jail for them. And I even explain that Muhammad Ali, he refused, but he gave a reason why he refused. And we all know the reason why. And he make up his mind and he go to jail and spend time and come out. Guyanese black people alone must not be perished, come to any war, which is Venezuela probably never done, because next 20 years more, somebody go rise up again. So we have to build a strong foundation, and today, every Indians, well, black is already there, Chinese, Amerindians, white, name them, born Guyanese, young men, must join the army certain when I meet certain years. Thank you again, and keep on pushing that double play.
Thank you for your call. Okay.
Yes, no, I am in full I'm in full agreement with Flash Gordon. He's in order. He's in order, and it puts us in a better place when the other ethnic groups go into the army, because black people are not going to then have an excuse to say we are the only ones who are left to protect the country and have doubts about protecting the country, because when they look over their shoulder and look to the side, they will see the Amerindian and Indian and Chinese and Portuguese and other brethren there with them. So it is in our best national security interests for all ethnic groups to go into the army now.
Call your life.
Yeah, good morning, Dr. Hines, and I hope
Good
you had a
morning,
good
sister.
day on Sunday, your birthday. Now, with
Thank
what
you.
you're saying, I'm listening to it quite clearly. With me, if you got a matter in court, and I think there is where the entire regime is floating. Now they had this matter that they took, that President Granger took to the ICJ. So I want to know if that case will still go on. But I haven't heard anything where they said that they will be discontinuing the case at the ICJ. There is where I am saying CARICOM is not a good fix for Guyana, because CARICOM should have said to these people who formed this meeting and sent a message to Maduro stating that this case is in front of the ICJ. When the matter is finished at the ICJ, if you feel that you are not pleased with the decision, you may be able to come to CARICOM. CARICOM has stepped up and show another debilitating thing to Guyana, to keep trotting Guyana down in the mud, like how they had that woman in Moko, hunker down in the mud with the police bangle. I can't remember right about now. That is what CARICOM has done again. Mia Martley could never be good for Guyana. I could remember way back when Guyanese used to sit on the bench every day. You used to be sitting on a bench and being sent back to Guyana. But you see, lots of Guyanese people, they got shallow memories. Because if they didn't got shallow memories, like me, I got relatives from both sides. My four parents, I understand, they originated in Barbados. But like tell y'all, I would never go to Barbados. You know why? Barbados to us prior to this, and right now we could see the hatred of Barbados as they continue to keep their knees on our necks. Next, just now, the voting population in Guyana, whether it be PNC, black people, Africans, or it be PPP, Kuli, East Indians, vote for the parties. I want the PPP to look members who would vote for them and all kind of thing, to see what their government installed has done to them. Because Barrow Jagdio is from the bosom of the PPP's PPP heart. He made that announcement to the Venezuelan to take the river. When he was cornered after the matter come out in full on Mark playing it and it going wrong, he decided to say President Hoy did it. President Hoy died so long, came out of power. When President Hoy was out of power, the same Barrow Jagdio had 2 years running the mill as president. Why Barrow didn't bring it up then? But suddenly now, when this thing has hit the fan, he's claiming that this thing. Now you got big boys in Esquibo. I think Cayman Sankar was a big name. And then I think the goddess man, Jagmohan, who they got this store Bascom, the police was being involved in. Now will people like Cayman, Sankar, and Jagmohan, and other big holdings in the Essequibo Coast, that is the West Coast, the Essequibo, will they now have to get permission from Maduro to do business in Guyana? That isn't fair. Remember when in front went to Suriname with Santoki and said he got forget license for the fishermen them in Barbies. Till day like today, no fisherman can't get no license from Santokio, you know. By the time the thing was to come up and Santokio to give the license, he fall out of good grace with Parrot. I want the PPP to sit down to us, jump, and a lot of stupid black people but say, oh, Granger didn't do nothing for RVDs. Let them sit down and see Vitali didn't do nothing. He carried the matter to the ICJ. What can the PPP say that the PPP members say the PPP has done for them? They try to sell out Essequibo, and look the things that they're doing. Lots of them are crying, you know why? Because the Venezuelans in town may not know the money. The Venezuelans are building all the places in town. These people who get the contract, they get the contract for so much $1 billion. They get a couple Venezuelans. Remember, they come from poverty, and you flash a little Granger to them, and they gone wild, and they're walking through. So many of the Guyanese workers who would have been working now, they are being replaced by a cheaper labor cost than they would have been given because Venice are in town. So PPP people, when the next election come, y'all study where y'all putting y'all ballots because y'all people ain't making it. They're selling out the country, they give no more money, they're flying out every minute. But with all y'all talk great and plenty people saying, Leader Norton is slow on his feet. Leader Norton is slow on his feet. Yes, the oppositions be slow on their feet. But when we do get up and stand up, there is no breeze that is going to blow us down because, you know what? Our feet will be well grounded in the soil that we stand upon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your call. Dr. Hines, you're there.
Well, just a couple of corrections. The matter before the ICJ wasn't taken by Granger. It was initiated under the PPP. So we just want to clarify that. And the second thing is that Rhonda is right about the way in which Venezuela, Barbados, and other CARICOM countries treated Guyana and Guyanese and Jamaicans at one time. But she should also take into consideration that a lot of our Guyanese nationals are living in Barbados, were admitted into Barbados, and they're having a better life than the one they left behind in Guyana in Barbados. And they're living there. We must not forget that. Places like Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua, St. Lucia, Grenada, lots of our Guyanese people are living in those places. So we must not confuse this society for the actions of some of their leaders. The Democratic Labour Party was in many regards harsher on Guyanese than under the Barbados Labour Party of Mayor Motley. So the thing is a little bit more complex than that, Rhonda. And even though the Democratic Labour Party, DLP, which is now in opposition in Barbados, has taken a stronger stand with Guyana than the Barbados Labour Party led by Motley. So it's much more complex. The CARICOM thing is much more complex. I think we have to be critical of the CARICOM leaders, but we have to be very careful that we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because those countries have been good to to our people. And lots of our people are living there. They are maintaining their families back home from living and working in those countries. So we have to be even-handed.
Thank you. Caller, thank you for holding your life.
Yeah, good morning, Brother Kadaki. I must say what a wonderful program this morning. First, I must apologize. Sometimes you will say mute the mic, but I can't seem to know how to do that. I must say good morning to Dr. Hinds, and you give a wonderful insight this morning, and I'm very grateful to that. I don't know if very many people understand what a gift Dr. Hinds is to us as Guyanese. He's well accomplished. Well, I can't see any more to thank him. My input to the program this morning is, Brother Kidaki, you know, I think that Ali has erred in Argyle with relation to Article 9 of the agreement, which he signed acknowledging as Essequibo as a disputed area. There is no dispute. We all know that there is no dispute. This matter was settled back in 1899, and the Venezuelans they jump up for joy when they got 4 times the size of Guyana in that agreement. You understand? So instead of now carving the situation or making better the situation, it is worse than it ever could be. And we are back to the Geneva Agreement, which Venezuela wanted. You understand what I'm saying? So that now the process before the court, because the United Nations Deputy Secretary General, I would think, was there and he was overseeing what's going on. So we have to question what will our case before the United, the ICJ be like now? What can we do? The only thing that I figure that Guyana can do, the Guyana team, is withdraw from these processes. They are due to meet in Brazil in 3 months. Just don't go there. Abandon it. Venezuelans keep doing this all the time. So I don't see no problem with Guyana withdrawing from those talks. You are jeopardizing the well-being of our nations by it being part of that. And I dare say to the people of Guyana, you know, I'm looking at this situation, and I've asked myself a question: do Guyanese really care? Do Guyanese really care? I mean, Essequibo is the bread basket of our country. And I keep saying this all the while. If you take away Essequibo, there will be no Guyana. There will be mayhem. You understand what I'm saying? So that my proposal to the people of Guyana, get out there, hit the ground, boots on the ground, protest. There should be massive protests in the streets of Jackson. Okay, now it's Christmas, and let's enjoy all the Christmas. But as soon as the new year hit, take to the streets before you suffer. Because I'm saying to you, our generations and ancestors before as far tirelessly to preserve this land. Dr. Jagan, Fox Barnum has given us Essequibo. And we are now sitting on our backsides and not doing anything about it. And if we continue to sit quiet, then this administration will feel that it could do anything. I am proposing that come next year, at the break of next year, there should be massive protests all over Guyana. This should not be quiet as it is. I've put in my work. I've been protesting, sometimes all by myself, for this whole country. But I'm calling to you, on you, Guyanese people, my fellow brothers and sisters, let us not sit idly by, because bitter will fall us, sorrow will fall us, So with that, let me say, Brother Kedaki, if you intend to lead the effort or whatever, or the WPA decide to embark on such effort, I'm willing to risk all it is that I have to defend my country. I'm an Essequibian. My ancestors are Essequibo. My mother is from Zargon, the Essequibo, and my fathers from Lima on the Essequibo. So I can't see myself living without the Essequibo. Okay? So thank you for affording me this time.
Call over the line. Looks as though we missed that one. As they say, let's take a break for perspiration's sake and pay some bills. APRTHEID is inviting you to its Kwanzaa observances.
The African Culture and Development Association, APRTHEID, invites you all to its annual Kwanzaa Caramel on December 26th at the Aquaba Center at 9 Thomas Lands opposite the National Park. Come see the lighting of the Kwanzaa candles and share in the Kwanzaa feast. Caramel begins at 11 a.m. Admission free. Have a happy Kwanzaa. Looking for a unique gift idea for the holidays? Then come down to Makeda's at 146 Albert Street. We have gift ideas for everyone, from festive African fabric, accessories, African-inspired outfits, unique African-inspired toys, books, African house decor, and so much more. Make this holiday special with a gift from Makeda's, where you can celebrate the African way.
You put in a 12-cent meatball, you was gonna lice. I gonna give you a word of advice. Check your meat out my rice.
You can get meat anywhere, but for the best cuts of chicken, beef, pork, mutton, and lots more, check out T&W Harris Butcher Shop, located in the East Remvelt Market Meat section. Call us on 609-2049. Ask for Rastaman. T&W Harris Butcher Shop brings you the best in fresh cut meats and lots more. Be sure when you go down to T&W Harris, tell them you're coming from Kams TV.
Are you planning your next visit to Aldridge, Guyana,
Tell them we
South
send
America?
you.
Well,
And let them
let's
take good care.
accommodate you at Varon's Cheerful Country Manor. With free secured on-premises parking, our beautiful vacation air-conditioned home offers 3 beds, 2 bathrooms, a spacious kitchen, and all modern amenities. Located at Tushen, on the eastern bank of the mighty Essequibo and the western coast of the Morara, Varon's Cheerful Country Manor is just a stone throw from the ocean. Make that reservation now on Airbnb and VRBO. For contact, call us on 516-770-3053 or 592-685-3521. Make Varon's Cheerful Country Manor your home away from home.
And of course, for local bookings, you can call Verons on 685-3521. Yes, for local bookings, call 685-3521 for Verons. I was saying to you, if you're going down to T&W Harris Butchery, just give us a plug. Tell them you heard the advertisement on Kams TV, and you know you're there to get your Christmas supplies, or even during the year when you go to buy your meat. Just tell them that we heard the advertisement on Kams TV, and so we come to get we meet. Call your life. Thank you for holding.
Yeah, a very blessed good morning to you, Mr. Kadaki, and to the rest of the Guyanese nation. Happy Christmas and a Merry New Year in advance. Mr. David Hines, congratulations, my brother. God bless you. And Mr. Kadaki, God bless you, my brother. That's the reason why I like to listen to the program. Mr. David Hines, I am not telling you this, but I'm telling the entire Guyanese nation. You are a blessing to this nation. You are a trophy for this nation. I want to thank Mr. Yusuf Kwayano. My brother, I really, really, truly love you. I have you in my thoughts and my prayers and everything I'm saying because you are a blessing. God bless WPA regardless of what. God bless this program. Nobody who God bless, no man can curse. However, You gotta give Jackie jacket and give Jelly coat. And that's why I want to even tell, say, thank God, Mr. Sharma Solomon, you and Miss Vanessa Kesoon, you are an example to the council them, how to see how they should stand up and resist this evilness what taking place, or what about to take place, or what would like to take place in this nation. So Guyanese, all the voters them, I'm calling to y'all. It's nice for a country to develop to have infrastructure and all these kind of roads and all these things. But when the people, when the citizens themselves, the development for citizens is lacking, that is where the problem lies. Because foreigners will come and enjoy what belongs to you, and you will be excreted from your own nation. You will be expelled from your own nation. You will come to your own demise in your own nation, become third-class citizen in your own nation. That is why the government, they don't want to raise, especially the public sector salary. Talk about inflation. You got to stand up and take a bull by the horn. So the public sectors and all the ordinary Guyanese, y'all stand up and y'all going to vote next election. Do not vote for this government. How can you vote for people who are not considering you, who fighting that inflation? You don't want to work no more. You don't want, instead of give you a proper cost of living, instead of give you, you and your children and your descendants and your generation to come. And look, Guyanese, come to your senses. This next election, please, I'm appealing to y'all. Vote out this government. I am not racial and I'm not timber, but I am looking upon the development. Look when the APRTHEID, at least Mr. Granger, was there trying to be balancing the nation. He could have locked up Jack all of them. Many people are annoyed at these things. He didn't put them before the court because he tried to bring unity, forgiveness, and these things. But that ain't work. They didn't make it because this government is so wicked and looking for vengeance, envy, jealousy, flattery, and they are so vindictive. So I am talking to the Indian brothers and sisters, all those who vote for PPP and the black ones who cross and over the line because they're saying, yeah, we see progress, infrastructures, we need it. But if the citizens, if the nation, they are not getting the development that they deserve, that is not developing, my brothers and sisters. So do not vote for this government before cat eat with dinner. Have a blessed day, Mr. Kadaki. Once again, God bless the program. Mr. Hines, congratulations. And I appreciate everything you said this morning. Once again, you are a blessing to this nation. And who God bless, no man could cause. Speak truth to power, my brothers. Speak truth to power. Have a blessed day, Guyanese.
Thank you for your call. The lines remain open. It's 9 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. And so we can take one more call. And then Dr. Hines will do the usual. Call you live.
Yes, a pleasant good morning to you, Mr. Kadaki, and Professor Dr. David Hines. I love that guy. My thing for this morning is that Guyanese, we sit down too much. We lie down too much. Now is the time to hit the street and protest for clean voters list. We see enough of it. We see enough of it with that big bastard Barra Jack Dio. It playing in front of our eyes. You want to give Venezuela a channel. The big dunce, the president go to St. Vincent, sit down with a bigger dunce to sell out this country. What are we waiting for? Hit the road, go to the protest line to get a clean voters list, because that is the last ammunition, the last arm we gotta pick up now. If the Venezuelan them in the country, we doesn't know how much, they're not documented in the right way, they can vote to keep the PPP in power. What are we waiting for? Guyanese, get up and get. Let the number grow from the finger counting to the eyesore. Flag that place and let Claudette Singh know that we gotta get a clean voters list. You guys continue the good works, Mr. Kadaki. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, caller. Okay, Heinz, it's 7 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. Would you do us the honors?
Well, once again, it's always good to come and to converse with our people and to learn from them, even as we try to impart some perspectives on the situation and to help to make sense of what we are going through. I every time I come on to the program or I'm on my program or any program, I learn something from our people. There is some pessimism, obviously. Power resides somewhere else other than with the leadership of the people who come on to this program, who support this program. And so people express themselves as they must do. But I am saying that 20 years from now, when we look back at this period, we will see, I think, that this was a transformational period in our history. For the first time, our people have the open airwaves to say what they think, to give their views, to have direct contact with their leaders and others who they look forward to hear from. In the old days, we had to go into communities and set up equipment and hold public meetings and announce and so on. All of that has changed now. We can come in the mornings, in the evenings, and have a conversation with our people, 2,000 people, 1,000 people, 800 people at a time, and to hear from them in real time. And I think whatever our country becomes in the next 2 decades, a lot of it will be hinged on what we do today. And often when we are making history, we are not always aware of it because we just do what we have to do or what God leads us to do or the ancestors push us to do. And somebody later on, our children, will come back and research this period and recognize that we moved mountains. We moved mountains. And so let the process continue. Let the conversation continue. The dictators are hearing us. They always hear us. They pay attention to everything we say and everything we do. And we are influencing them one way or the other because they recognize that we are a force to reckon with because we are the salt of the earth. We are the salt of the earth. By the time I come back next week, Wednesday, it would be Christmas. Christmas would be over and gone. Despite the economic difficulties, Christmas will always be Christmas because it's traditional. It's one of those holidays that cut across religion, although it's a Christian holiday. It is more than Christianity. It's really national. It's a way in which our people have taken these symbols, the Christmas and the Easter, and we have turned them into moments of light for us. So let's eat, drink, and be merry as we say. Enjoy the Christmas. We come again after Christmas and ring in the new year, and then we put on the gloves again and ready to fight. Because as Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a struggle. Never did and never will. Never did and never will. Happy holidays. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. God, I've said so much. Sorry. I am sorry. That's the thing with me, you know. Listen, 50 has taken me by storm, you know. Oh Lord. I think I'm very forgetful these days. Yes, I was saying thank you for tuning in to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. And do join Dr. Hines this evening for another program of Politics 101. Also remember that on Friday, this Friday's Creole Friday menu is pepper pot, and we're serving it with rice, bread, or provision. You will make your choice what you want it served with. Okay, so place your orders by tomorrow, so we will know the number of persons we're catering for. The number to call is 6225933. And of course, we also are going to be hosting the traditional Old Year's Night Dance at Club Twilight. Complimentary wine for a number of persons, and certainly everybody gets to delve into, as long as food lasts, the popular Lou's Kitchen mixed meat cook-up. So come down Old Year's Night to Club Twilight. Let's share, let's sit together, let's party together, let's eat together, and usher in the new year together. Right, so put that on your calendar. Good. Have a good one. Agda is inviting you to the Kwanzaa on the 26th of December. That's Boxing Day usually. And special attraction will be Murphy One Man Band. Murphy's One Man Band is going to be down there at the observances of the celebration. Kwanzaa on the 26th. So join us over there. And also, you know, be prudent with your spending. Have a good one. If you're looking to host a party or any event for the Christmas holidays, and you're looking for linens and stuff like that, you can, of course, contact EC Party Rentals. Call me on 6225933, and we will give you the link. Tablecloth and chair covers, and you know, candle holders and candles and napkins and charger plates, you name it, we have it done at EC Party Rentals. Of course, we have chairs, tables, tents, coolers, music if you wish, right? We can also find your DJ. So